Welcome to Diaspora Lounge. Thank you for joining us again in another episode. Today we are talking about, as you can see, talking about difficulties faced in the workplace due to culture when an immigrant has found themselves in a new environment. There's a lot of talk about changes that need to be made, and we see a lot of people complaining about things that they go through and even advising other people that it's too difficult, maybe do not consider coming and all that. And we're going to get into that discussion today because you know that when your work is impacted, so many other areas of your life will begin to go downhill. So we're going to share our experiences, lessons we've learned, the hard lessons and hard knocks, and hopefully help to disabuse our minds of certain things that we believe that should be just because these are things that we're used to. Let's play our intro and then we'll be right back. Thank you for staying with us.
First thing you want to do is to regain your power.
And it takes two to tango.
Oh my God, you need to see what she's going through. The husband broke her neck.
Your room if you want to talk.
Okay.
Sorry, Jerry.
Right. Let's get into it. So as I told you, I wanted to have this discussion. I've actually talked about this before on a video, but what I was referring to was only one small aspect. And now with an incident that occurred recently, I thought that we should talk about this more holistically. Then again, a couple of weeks ago, I was also talking about the experiences that my girls have told me that they've been having in school. And I was thinking, how do we talk about this thing without putting us Nigerians, without putting the spotlight on us and putting us into problems? Because I know that what the society is. I live here in Canada. I know what the society is like, and I know certain little things that can just create a situation where a person will be deported, and the school fees that they've paid, that the parents have suffered to send them to school with here, will be lost. So I also know that there are people who go to the law enforcement and fabricate stories for real. And so I don't want to arm these people with things and ideas that will make it easy for them to go and fabricate stories against my own people. But if we don't talk about these things, how do these people know that they're crossing the line? And they also create more difficulties for other people when they continue to behave in the ways that they behave. I am talking about students who are in school and the way that they are approaching other students. But for today, we're going to talk solely about the workplace and culture and the challenges and changes that need to be made. I don't know if you want to start with maybe your own personal experiences. I'll share some of mine, or things that people who are close to you have gone through.
Okay. Thanks, Uzo. One thing I know is that human beings have a problem with mindset change. It is not everybody that has the ability to change their mindset. You know, whatever you do, before you do it, it's always nice to consider all the things that are attached to it. Do you understand me? Okay, like if you don't have a car, and you want to buy a car, you must be able to visualize your life or your conduct when you buy the car. Because definitely, I'm just using that as an example. Buying a car changes your life one way or the other. Moving from a rented apartment into your own house changes your life. I'm not talking about the glory or whatever. I'm talking about the way you do things. Because one, if you let's say you are on a mortgage, do you understand me? If your mortgage is the same amount of money with your rent, then maybe not much has changed. But if your mortgage is higher than your former rent, then that means there has to be some financial adjustment. I just use that as an analogy. A lot of people are aspiring to do new things in their life, additional things, changing environment, you understand me, doing certain, maybe changing what do you call profession. But what you ask yourself is that, have they thought it through, the different changes that can come into their lives and the different adjustments that they need to make? And this also applies to what we're talking about. You understand me? If you're living maybe an African country, I want to use an African country specifically, because maybe if you're moving from maybe America to maybe somewhere else in the Western world, there might not be so much difference. But when you're coming from Africa, you understand me, a place where a lot of the times things that are supposed to work do not work. You understand? Where the culture is also different. Do you understand me? We're a lot more, affectionate and several other things. We're about expressing ourselves. You understand me? We wear our hearts on our sleeves and all of that. But when you come to an environment like this, like the Western world, one of the things that should be uppermost in your mind is that I'm moving into a different culture. So first and foremost, and when you move into any new thing, the first thing you want to do is, let's say, education. I'm not talking about going to school or something. I'm talking, you need to educate yourself in the culture of that place. You understand me? You need to educate yourself. But what you now have is that there's a situation where some are not very quick at educating themselves, getting educated or getting acculturated in other people's culture. Some are willing, but they are not fast enough. Some are not even willing at all. Some are very stubborn with, learning the culture of a new place. Do you get? Okay, like let me give you a very good example. When I got here, some of the traffic laws, some of them are crazy. Do you understand me? And I'm someone who learned driving. I went to driving school. So I believe that I'm not like a typical Lagos driver. I drive well. Do you understand? But when I go here, some of the laws they seem very, but I mean, as stupid as they sound, you understand, I still have to abide by them because that's their law. You understand me? So I learned to abide by them. When I was going to do the driving test to collect my license, my wife was telling me, do it as they want it to, so that you don't fail it. When they say, you can understand, there's side mirror, and they say you must do this. You understand? You have three mirrors. You have the rear mirror, you have the side mirror to check, because that's what and I've never had accidents like that. You understand me? So, and even the blind side, even if you can put a tiny one for the blind spot. But what I'm trying to say is that that's the way they say they do it. He said, if you don't do it, if you don't turn your neck,
you won't get your license.
You will not get your license. That's the culture of the place.
Because
even
that's
though I
the
don't need to
culture.
turn my head. So, and that's the way everything is. There is a culture. There's a way things are done. So, and if you're willing, if you say, okay, I want to relocate, there's also a workplace culture. It is not like in Nigeria. So the first thing you want to do first is to hold yourself in, learn the workplace culture, and then begin to gradually apply your knowledge in your workplace.
That's perfect. I have had my own fair share of this, because the thing is that human beings are creatures of habits, and just as you said, knowing to unlearn things and to change your habits is what is crucial. And with every aspect of life, the way that we've always done things is what we just believe that this is right. This is the way it should be. And yes, you may get to a place where other people are doing something that looks crazy, like you said. Looks crazy, it seems crazy, it doesn't make sense. But the bottom line is when you're in Rome, if you don't do as the Romans do, you can get into trouble for breaking the Roman laws, and you are going to be the one to face the trouble. Then there is also the added aspect of the fact that where you're coming from, everybody was generally the same and had the same attitudes to things. Because even in the workplace, the problem that I had faced myself was I had worked with these people and this manager for a long time, for years. But when somebody else came, this person was not even Canadian. So this person had a different attitude entirely, brought it into that place. And I continued to work with the way that I had always been used to. But this person was coming with a totally different mentality. And that is what, if I wanted to continue working there, that is what I should have adopted. Right. So if it's one thing to change entirely when you come to a new place, and then to also see the people that you're working with directly and know what you need to do to flow with them. Okay, Coco.
I wanted to say this. Sorry, I wanted to say this. You know, there are two sides to it. There are standard workplace etiquette. There are standard workplace etiquettes. You understand me? And there are cultural nuances of a country. In your own case, I believe maybe it's unfortunate, but what I see also here is because the society in America and in Canada is becoming a seriously multiracial
Yeah,
society. So what you're doing is that you're actually you probably need to learn and unlearn, learn again and unlearn, and
several
then
times.
continually acclimatize yourself to the different persons that you, without losing your own identity, but focusing basically on the basic principles of workplace etiquette, the way to conduct yourself. You know, they keep telling us, oh, people at your workplace they are not your friend, though. They are your colleague. So you cannot relate with them like your friends,
Mm,
or else you get messed up. Where you think your friend is going to cover you up, people in your workplace are not your friend. They will not cover
absolutely.
you up. You're going to be in trouble. So you must work by the rules and assume that nobody has your back.
Absolutely. Let's take one of the things that it's we can tie that to one of the things that you mentioned earlier, Aki. You had said that where we come from, Nigeria, we are used to expressing ourselves, being ourselves, and wearing our hats on our sleeves, so to say, just being our natural selves. It's not the same thing everywhere. And if we move to a place where the culture is different, we need to adapt. And this is one of the problems that um, people face. Like Coco and I were talking about recently about the case of somebody who, in expressing himself, crossed certain lines, but didn't realize that this is he was crossing the line. So the way we talk in Nigeria is one thing, it's totally different from what operates here. So watching that difference, Coco.
Yes, it goes without saying, the popular saying of when you go to Rome, you act like the Romans. And here's the thing, if only we do, I don't think we'll run into problems. I can just said without losing our identity. So we don't want to lose our identity. God forbid that we do. But I suppose the bottom line is when you move into a new society, don't rush yourself. Observe. Okay. I'm even going too far. I'm the sort of person, if I'm going to a family, let me say for the very first time, maybe visiting or for some reason, one of those visits that you go to, you don't know them, but you're forced to go there because maybe you've tagged with your husband, a friend, or you observe. If you're intelligent enough, you won't just go into the sitting room and you start blabbing off. You observe. You observe the way they do things in their house. And I'm talking about a couple of hours visit. You
Mm.
observe what their mentality is. That's me anyway. I'm observing the kind of things they're talking about. I'm observing their level of intelligence. And I hate to sound, my kids will say bougie. I hate to sound it, but then you're observing. Now, if you observe and you see they talk in that's their view on a particular thing, like really strong views, you don't have to at that point start blabbing your alternative views. You understand? But if they're talking about a view that okay, I can correct an impression here, like it's a neutral kind of, then you can comment. The same goes with when you go into a society, especially when you're relocating, or even if you're on holiday. Observe. If you're very, very observant at your workplace, for example, remember that case that we're talking about, you would see that they're not calling each other darling, love, and stuff like that. And if you observe very well, you will find that if you go to a place like a marketplace, their markets, yes, love, what do you want? Is it that one? If you observe very well, you will see that that language is not
It's a different
used in an office
environment.
setting.
Mm.
They use it, but the thing is, our people come, they don't want to observe. They've heard it being thrown up and down, darling, dearest, and all that. And they feel, oh, that's the general language. And they take that language, they're now
From the
in the
store
office,
to the office.
and they're using it. Nobody calls anybody darling. Well, never happened in my own office, at least.
Why?
But I remember
Why
if I
would
go to a place like Hackney Market, Woolwich Market, you're buying meat or whatever, these people that vend whatever, they're
Yeah, they're
like,
trying to draw you.
yeah, they're like,
Trying to draw
sorry,
you.
darling. No, I can't do it, love. Sorry, love. Yeah, love, that'll be
Absolutely.
£1. Do you understand?
Yeah.
Anyway, essentially, just cutting the long story short, I think the key word here that I want us to actually, remember is first observe
And
before you
then,
contribute.
Right.
Yeah.
Izzy, do you want to say something? Okay, it looks like you're frozen. So one thing that I know is it's this thing of us speaking freely is one thing, because you know that in Nigeria, when I traveled, there were times when I traveled, even as a young girl. There was a time when I traveled, and when I got to this place, it was late at night. There was a lady on that bus with me, and she invited me to their home to spend the night. I went home with this lady, spent the night. They fed me, did everything, took care of me, and I left and was on my way the next day. We have that free way of relating where that was before now that there's so much killings and all and kidnappings and all that. So we have that free way of relating. Somebody may still carry that and bring it, and I think that that's where we suffer, because even when Nigeria was telling me last week she was talking about these three weddings that really made a lot of noise in Nigeria, and she was talking about how people were making comments under the videos of these people and saying also stuff, and I was like, people talk like that. Like, look, we really talk anyhow in that country. And that reminds me of, I think I've said it before on our show here, that I'm sure that even myself at some point may have been seen as that rude lady, you know, because I know that at some point in my earlier times when I got here, I was still like freely saying things, I'll just freely say, oh no, but this is giving my opinion. But we have to really curtail these things. We cannot. We are talking people, and we have to be much more careful
we are very
about
expressive. We are very
very
expressive.
expressive, very
Yeah.
expressive. And I really love what Coco said. Like, observe, observe, because sometimes, and that's how we make friends. Because if we go to the store now, like if I go to Walmart, I've made friends at Walmart in the store here. And then they come to my house and I go to their homes. But you see, this society is not like that.
at
Even
all.
people that you see over and over and over at meetings, you don't go to their homes. They don't come to you. So that freedom in feeling that you're so close and you can express yourself with someone, is what some of us carry to the workplace, and then we get into trouble and we're wondering what is happening because that guy had said some things that he had said to the manager, and he was wondering why the manager was so upset, you know. But the manager felt that he was being too. Why would you talk to me like that? So that's the thing. So we have to just be quiet. That's where our loudness has to change. Easy. What do you want to say?
Easy has
Oh no,
frozen.
I was just no. I'm okay. I was before, but I'm free
Okay.
now. I didn't get half of the conversation, but it's fine. Um, Actually, what sums it up, just like Coco said, is that saying, when you get to Rome, you behave like the Romans. You don't you apart from getting into trouble, you're actually opening yourself up. You're exposing yourself to dangers, because by the time you start showing that you're different, people will definitely treat you differently. If you're showing that you are opinionated and you have something to say about everything, you end up making more enemies, especially in the workplace, than friends. Because people will be like, who is this? Where is she coming from? And they won't tell you that. They'll just look at you and
Mm,
smile. But in a workplace, the problems associated with not being let me not say friends, but in everyone's good page, not everyone, majority of the people, is that you might be set up directly or indirectly. It happens all the time. You can get yourself set up. You can lose opportunities to even climb up the ladder because everybody's looking at you in a weird way. It's just like a new kid in a school. You have to be careful. If not, you would make enemies of every other person, and that's not the best place to be. So, workplace culture, workplace problems for immigrants or people that just relocated is, for me, majorly caused by carelessness. That's the term I would use. It's just carelessness. Because if someone is not observant, you're very careless. You're in a new place, you don't know how things work. The first thing you do is carefully understand how are they doing this, and then you can gently ask questions. Why is this done this way? That's the only way to learn and adapt.
okay, not to put too much pressure. Like, I mean, it's good for us to put pressure on ourselves so that we understand where we need to make changes. But sometimes, have we also considered the psychological struggles that immigrants have? Because, people come and people have to change careers sometimes. And like one guy said, he said when he got to work there, that his manager was not allowing him. Okay, he didn't change careers. Eventually, he was forced to. His manager was not allowing him to do his work, and his own understanding of it was that perhaps this guy felt that he didn't really know how to do it because he's a complete stranger. He's also an immigrant and coming from a different place, and there's also the possibility of him perceiving him as coming from a developing country, and maybe you don't really have your onions, you don't really know your onions. And so he said that for him, that he was upset the way this manager was treating him, and he let it be known. He let it show. So um, the truth is, we are working with those challenges, and you can't always be in control of these things. But if you're conscious of it, like now that we're talking about it, we have to recognize also the person who is treating you this way may be wrong. There might be some prejudice, but eventually, at the end of the day, I am the one who's going to be at the losing end if I don't control myself. So
What
you're
what
going to
I have
say?
to yeah, what I have to say to that is, there's a saying in my language. Pardon my, I'm not very. I'm a Yoruba man, but I'm not very good at speaking Yoruba. But what I would say is that, to translate it, you don't ask for who killed your father until your hand is at the butt of his sword. Do you understand me? You
Mm.
don't ask for who killed your father. Assuming you understand me, you can picture the situation. You don't say, who killed my father? Where's the person who killed my
When you
father?
can't do anything
When
about it.
your hand is not on the butt of the sword. It's when your hand is on the butt of the sword. So when
Yeah.
you go to, I mean, to lean towards playing in Yoruba language or there. I know
Playing the
Uzo
fool.
wants to do that one. Yes, you must first of all be, when you go to a place, you must first of all be, especially in a workplace, and it is those periods that you use in observing, as my dear
Coco
lady
said.
has said. Yeah, so you have to play. There are some situations where you have to go to play, no matter how intelligent you are, no matter how experienced you are. When you get to a place, you first of all play out there and lie low, and you are grabbing everything that you are seeing, that you're observing. You understand, even if your views are contrary to them, but you are learning, you are picking them up. And then and then when you want to start maybe reacting, or putting forward your own steps, you cannot even do it forcefully, you can't do it aggressively. You have also got to be diplomatic. Diplomacy is another thing that you have got to learn, and to a very large extent,
Yeah.
Africans are not very good at it. That's why our international relations is in total mess. So what I'm trying to say is that, then on that knowing what to do is another thing. But the problem we also have is that, do you know that there are people who still want to be the way they were in Nigeria abroad, speaking, reacting, doing all kinds of things that they were doing, not trying to curb their excesses? Because that's where the problem is. Those are the ones I really do not pity. I can understand somebody who is trying, but maybe his learning speed is not that fast. You understand me? So maybe struggling. Do you get? But if anything short of being ready to observe and learn and then adapt is going to put the person in trouble.
I love this thing you just said. You just reminded me of something. Like when we say that a lot of us don't want to change from how we used to, the things that we're used to. Do you know that part of it is like we really need to be? I think that we have to be careful of what our spirit is soaking in from everything that we see, because like now people talk about Nigerians being, we're loud, we're bold, we're this, we're that. So do you think that sometimes that affects and influences some people to not actually be themselves, but somehow you have this feeling and this idea that this is who we are and this is how we are, and could it be sometimes that you're taking the narrative from what you're seeing being portrayed out there about us,
No,
where
yeah, it's not about losing that. It's knowing where to express it.
okay,
If
then
you
the
go to
second
a
one,
party and you are loud and you are anything, you are Nigerian, good. You are in
not in
your
the wrong
church
environment,
and
not everywhere,
your own African church. Yes, it's the environment.
not everywhere.
It, I mean, if you're in a work environment, I talked about workplace etiquette. First of all, that has to be in place. Then the
Yeah.
workplace culture has got to be in place. Then your own interpersonal relationship with people has to be modest.
This is totally reminding me of what I feel about feminism, and we're going to have that discussion soon, because what I see with feminism is there are certain places where you are thinking that women should be heard, but are we doing it in the right environment, or is it in every place you find yourself as a woman that you need to make sure that you're heard too? So I think that that's creating its own set of problems, the issue of feminism. Okay, now this other thing about changing who you are, changing your name. How about changing your name? What do you feel about changing your name to fit in or to even get a job in the first place? Because I had this discussion with someone who for years kept on
Mm.
trying and trying, and I said, have you considered on your resume to put an English name on your resume. Have you ever considered that? And he said, I haven't, and I will never, because I never go by an English name. And if it's going to take me 10 years or never to get a job, I don't have one, and I'm not going to adopt one. And I said, there are these people who come, people from a certain part of the world, a certain part of Asia, even as they're landing at the airports. And I worked with a settlement organization for a long time. And I noticed that these people would always adopt an English sounding name like Jane, Amelia, or things like that, Paula, and these are not their names. And then in the bracket, they will have their own real names. And it was like, never. You know that our names mean something. I would never do that. Even if I won't get a job, then so be it.
My
That's what I'm
take on
trying to.
it is, we need to change the narrative, and I'll tell you why. I think I'm in the same boat with that person. I would never change my name. I would never shorten it. I'm not about to make it easy for you, but it depends on the sort of person you are. The pressure here, I could tell you at work, then I've been asked so many times, do you want to be known as something else? Is there any other name? Is it, would you want to? And I'll go, Konya. And I'll go, do you know what? I watch you struggle. And I'll say to you, never mind. I'm not after, I'll just say, the way they say it, because I've asked you, and I go, never mind. I'm not after the
Perfection.
pronunciation, the accent. Just get the pronunciation, and I'm happy with that. And that's my tricky way of saying to them, listen, you
It's your
don't have to
problem.
call me Konyere. Just call me Konyere. I'm happy with that. I don't expect you to have the African accent, after all, in Nigeria, because my name is unique. I love to think that it's unique. In Nigeria, people struggled to actually call the name Konyere. Coco is my, and I'll tell you what, although my friends call me Coco, and by the way, I was in uni when I knew that the name could, I'd always wanted to shorten it, don't get me wrong, but I just didn't know what to make of Konyere and how to shorten it. And it was until my final year in uni, I had a new roommate introducing, and she goes, oh, Konyere, do you know what? I'm going to call you Coco. I like it. And the name stuck. The rest is history. And that was my final year. Now, everyone that knows me, they call me Coco. But if I tell you that at my workplace in this country, in Nigeria, they all knew me as Coco. In this country, my workplace, the several workplaces, they ask me what my name is, and I say Konyere.
Why being so stubborn?
Yes, and I do it for a reason. And funny enough, in the same office setting, if there's a Niger person there and you're asking me what my name is, Coco, I know why I do it. Because a Yoruba person is not going to say to you, do you want to be known as something else? They will cram the name the same way we cram theirs, or, But I find that, and this is not being racist or being funny, because these things need to be spoken about. They want you to change your name. And you know what? I've had these conversations with them, and I say to them, Elizabeth is an 8-lettered name. Okay. No, hold on. It's more than that. It's 9. My name, they're only 7 letters. So, and I always hold the argument that I say, if we can pronounce names like Elizabeth, there's absolutely no reason why you can't do my 7-lettered name. So, yes, I get also what you're saying, what you said to the guy, if you change your name, because people find that when they do on the CV,
they have more
they always get
responsibilities.
shortlisted. But here's the thing. You change your name on your CV, you get shortlisted. At some point, you're going to be called in for the interview, remember? So what now happens? I know you're going to say, well, at least let me cross the first hurdle. They're interested. Right. They want to see me, rather than just looking at that name and chuck it into
I get a chance to speak for myself.
Yes, but I tell you what, let without taking too much time, here's I'm one of those people that strongly believe that if someone doesn't start it, we'll never be able to change the narrative. So if we keep changing our names to fit in, when will we remember with the Black Lives Matter thing? you know, the narrative has been changed because people start speaking out.
Mhm.
And this, funny enough, is one of the things that they spoke about, the pressure for you to change your name in order to be accepted. But now that
Mhm.
we've put our footprints on the ground, they now know that we don't want to do things to be accepted, i.e., changing the name for the job. Would it cost you? Sometimes, yes, it would. But I just believe that if one person starts it and every other person does follow suit, it's making things easier. I mean, that's my take on it.
I think perhaps we're going to look at it this way. It depends on how much it pinches at at the time that you're doing this thing. Because if I have something to fall back on if I don't get a job, or if even if I don't have anything to fall back on, I would rather face whatever difficulties. If I'm ready to sleep under the bridge and I say to myself, yes, I know this is what this thing is costing me, and I'm going to take that chance, then that's the way we're going to. Depends on how much you're willing to sacrifice, I guess. Um, yeah,
I
because
I get the point, as in you're painting a picture of desperation. When you're desperate, would you still say the same thing?
Mhm.
I guess
Yeah,
that's sort of like what you're
yeah,
saying.
because
That
we have to take
okay,
responsibility, and
Yeah,
because people are
I
listening
believe.
to us, and some people just hold on to something that they already wanted to do, and then we give them a reason to say, see, that's what I'm going to do. You
Oh,
know.
well, I think as taking from what you and Coco have just said, I think it all depends on the level of desperation, and then two, on the level of certainty that that is the reason why you're not getting the job. Because there are many reasons why you might not be getting a job. It might not just be your
Yeah.
name,
Oh, I
especially
told
in a
him to use two different resumes.
yeah, yeah, especially in a society, majority of the Western society now, especially the bigger ones, are becoming seriously multiracial. So anybody for
and may I quickly cut in to say,
I don't even
okay,
think I
let
want.
me quickly cut in
No,
to
I'm
say.
coming. I wanted to land. I wanted to land. Let
No,
me
no,
land.
no. I'm not cutting you short. I'm not cutting you short. I just want to add quickly, just a sentence, then you continue.
All right.
You said the society is becoming multiracial, and there's a
Yeah.
reason for that. For
Yeah.
people like me that will stand on what is right and insist.
Yeah.
That's why it's becoming. That's why they're accepting the concept. But let's say
So
if it were
true.
during my parents'
That's
time,
true.
then when we would just keep quiet, the society will never be multiracial, if that makes sense, because you're not putting your feet
No.
down.
Yeah. No,
Does that make
Coco,
sense?
I'm a lot more. I'm a lot more on your side. Do you
Mhm.
understand? I'm a lot more on your side concerning this matter. But what I say, I've lost my train of thought a little. But
Oh,
what I say
you
is
said
that
that the society is becoming multiracial,
yeah,
so
multiracial. And what
yeah.
I say is that I don't even think I want to work in an environment where they see they see that I needed to change my name for me to be accepted in that system.
I thought somebody would say that.
Yeah, because
So
Mm.
I want to work in a place that is all inclusive, because work is not just work. Work is a place where you spend 8 hours of your life every day. So if you're going to be working in a place where your name is a nuisance,
a determinant.
you understand? No, let's even leave the determinant. When your name, because let's cross the determinant line. You understand me? Let's cross into, even if you are working in the place. It means that if your name is a determinant, then your name will be a nuisance when you start working in the place. So
Let's
first
look
and
at it this
foremost,
way.
on the level of that, I don't think I want to work in a place where my name is a problem. I don't think anybody's name should be a problem, no matter how long or how short it is. You
Okay,
understand? And no
let's look
matter
at it this way.
how much you do not know the meaning of the name, it's a name, just something to know somebody by.
Okay,
So that's one on one side. Then on the other side, um, some people have English names already, so it's easy for them to slot it in. So I'll advise those kind of people to do such. But if you don't have an English name, are you going to manufacture it? How are you going to manage it inside your that means you're
yeah,
bringing a name that is not on any of your credentials.
yeah. Let me
You
respond
understand?
to that. Let me respond to that.
All right.
So I'll do that this one quickly. Yeah, you can put a nickname on even your resume. You can. You can put anything on it.
They
Even
ask
in the
for name that you are called, you want to be called by. Yes, they ask for that. They always
yeah.
ask for that.
And then okay, so that settles that. And then the second part of whether your name is a nuisance. So let's say they identify me from my name and they can see that this name is not local, is not is foreign to this place. And based on that, maybe they're not going to consider me. So here is what I feel I have to mention. When I considered this at any point, I did say to myself, come to think of it, if these people do not want a person who has a foreign sounding name with them, it means that no, it means that maybe even when you get there, if you change your name to Judy and you get in there, you may be treated in that way. Where so it's like, do I really want to come in here and be treated that way? No, but here's the thing. Sometimes it's not really because they will treat you that way when you are with them, when you're finally working there. Sometimes it's because the name makes them question whether they're going to be able to communicate with you properly. That's one thing. Whether your resume was written by someone else, you know, whether you actually have those qualifications. And so that's why sometimes you may consider putting that name on your resume and then you get into that place, a phone call. Who is going to call you? There are thousands of applicants. There's so many
No,
applicants.
if you think by paper, the person is qualified or over, even more than qualified for the
They
job.
can't take that extra time to call you because there are thousands of applicants that they haven't even
No,
responded.
hold on. I do Uzo, I do not agree with you. See,
I do,
on this one,
I
because see,
disagree.
when you first of all, you cannot shortlist candidates based on their names. You have to first of all shortlist candidates based on their
Yeah.
qualification and based on their experience on the
Mhm.
Yes.
job, relevant experience on the job. So if you first of all qualify on that level, the amount of people to be called are so minimal. If that is the first criteria of, like, okay, simple things like education, relevant experience, and then maybe your local experience, as in have you worked in that environment before. So if they shortlist on the level of that, on those three, then that is when the issue of, okay, maybe they have about 50 people shortlisted for a job of about 3 people. So then that's when you're not going to the details of except they've coded the machine to start rejecting certain names. But basically, what they just do basically is to do, okay, qualification. Are you what you read, or do you have the relevant experience to back up what you're applying for? Do you have the amount of years of experience?
Okay, so
You have,
perhaps that would be determined by the kind of company you're applying to and the volume of applications that they get.
yeah.
Because
So,
if it's
but it cannot be, but because when it gets to the level of now being specific about names, then you can call 50 people. You can call 50 people. And if they call you and they hear you, if they now say, oh, this man cannot speak English, okay, based on that.
we're going to have communication issues.
Yeah.
Okay, so now
I don't believe it. You know, the trade-off. Oh no. And you know, it'll interest you to know all my children. They do have well, not Nigerian, Igbo names. My siblings and our parents all gave us Igbo names, and I remember my dad. We'd gone back to Nigeria then, and him. You know, he will always say to us, or people, friends, and family, that the reason why I gave them Igbo names is I wanted to give them an identity, you know, at the time when he thought, are we going to continue living in the UK or back to Nigeria? He said for him, it was a question of, had we remained in this country, if we're famous or something, you being on tele, every Nigerian will be proud of you and every Igbo person will be proud of you. As in that
Yeah.
name, they'll know,
Yeah.
oh, that's an Igbo name.
That's a
Okay.
Nigerian name.
So from a very young age, I'd always understood the power of name. I mean, this is a man in the 70s UK, 60s, because my two elder sisters were born in the late 60s. Him believing in, besides all the racism that would have been abound them, that listen, if I don't give these kids anything, the one thing I want them to keep is their name.
no, but that makes
Sounds
sense, Paul. But can't you
so
look at
you
it
can
that it
understand. Yeah,
depends
the
on the
reason why I'm saying
circumstances?
this, It's just my
Be
passion.
flexible from time to time.
You know, and I've done the same with my children here. They have their English names or their middle names, but okay, my first girl's name is Onyinyechi, which is quite a actually Onyinyechi Zuroke. It is a 14-lettered name, okay, but then in school she just answers Onyinyechi, which is still long enough.
Long.
Now Onyinyechi Zuroke, if you ask her sometimes, she'll tell you Onyinyechi Zuroke, but most times she does the Onyinyechi. She doesn't tell you. She's like me. She doesn't tell you Onyi. She tells you Onyinyechi.
Coco,
When I
everything you
go,
said about
when I
everything you said
go,
about your names and your dad are very
All
correct.
her
But
children,
even this,
all her teachers, they actually pronounce it Onyinyechi. That's the way
yeah,
they
yeah.
call it. And
No,
she's like,
everything is
fine.
very correct. But okay, I'm just saying I'm not pushing for what I said to be accepted. I'm just thinking that this is the reason why we're human beings, and we talk about adapting and being flexible and looking at the situation. Every situation is peculiar because we cannot take this is ideal, this is right, but I cannot always apply it in every situation. So it really depends at the end of
Also,
the day.
ask me
Yeah.
what my opinion is about this relocation thing, culture differences, what we advise diaspora, people coming in and stuff. I will advise you, be observant, don't jump into conversations, stay clear of your, Ake said, your colleagues are not your friends, and that's why they report you. But you see, when it comes to your identity, if anyone is listening, keep
You
your
are not
identity.
changing
That's the only
anything.
thing you have.
Okay. So one more thing I want to talk about is the way we have a culture of hoping for forgiveness when we do something. So the difference here is that there are rules, there's
slightly
procedure,
unforgiving.
there are processes, yes. So Coco, this is a discussion that we have to have completely, this issue of forgiveness that we have from where we're coming from. Because we believe that we can do something and then hope that it can be overlooked and someone will forgive us. Because they will see how we're now in dire straits or we are so sorry and we regret what we did. But unfortunately, things don't work like that here. You cannot do something that requires you to be sanctioned in one way or the other, and then now be hoping that you can explain to them, oh, I have a newborn baby, or this or that, and hope they're going to get forgiven. There is not going to be any forgiveness, or that you're late to work several times. Today I missed my boss. Oh, my alarm didn't. It's trouble. So for anyone who is relocating, the issue of forgiveness is something that we have used to ruin ourselves. I think where we're coming from, destroying lives because we're talking about forgiving someone for something that they shouldn't have done in the first place.
That the system is unforgiving. Have that in your mind. Have that in mind. Don't think, oh, I will flout the traffic laws, and I will not be even when the camera catches me, they will not send bill to my house. They will send the bill and you will pay it. You understand? Any infringement, except you are not caught, you will pay the penalty.
Can I quickly throw in two more things so that we don't lose them? Well, you're talking about how we do things in Nigeria. So
in Africa, generally,
and then asking for forgiveness. So quickly, I just wanted to say, in case so that we don't do this topic without mentioning it. And I know Coco had talked about it vaguely, but it's like being over familiar or complimenting people and talking about how I do my hair as a lady. You may be thinking, well, they say when a lady does her hair, it's nice to compliment her on it and let her know that you notice it and not that. So again, it's environment. So we cannot come to the office as we cannot come to the office and compliment someone of the opposite sex. It's unfortunate that that's supposed to be a natural thing. It's supposed to be a natural thing that you see someone looking good, they have a nice shirt or a nice pair of shoes or their hair or their whatever. We don't want you to be personally complimenting people personally here in the Western world. So please note that. Or asking people for their personal information, like where do you live? That will be taken as harassment, and you can lose your job for that.
No,
Yes.
I also think that to a very large extent, the relationship you have with someone will determine whether you can compliment or not. I don't think it's a general
It's a
rule.
risk. It's a risk.
No. What I'm trying to say, I'm not trying to throw a blanket on it. What I'm trying to say is that it depends on your relationship with the person. Do you understand? If your relationship is just based strictly office counterparts, maybe it's not like maybe you guys have been in a
Don't
team.
try to warm it up with
Uh,
compliments.
so that you, it's not that maybe you guys have been in a team for 2 years. Like if you're in a team with somebody, maybe you guys have traveled together, on work related basis. There's a kind of a bond. You
Aki,
understand?
no. Aki, we have to be very careful with that because they
No,
reason in a different way.
what I'm trying to say, that it's not straight jacketed. Yes, with
It is.
normal.
I wouldn't. So I wouldn't.
I would disagree with you. It is straight jacketed in this country.
In this
Work is
society,
work.
Yeah.
Because if you say that, they're gonna get the wrong impression and feel, okay, I've built this relationship, and then that's it. Actually, when they're going to get into trouble because they're going to be quite flippant with what they
yeah,
say because they believe I've been
because
in the same
you,
office with her for
oh,
5 years.
you
What
may
I'm
be more
trying to say,
discerning, Aki.
I'm
It's
not. I'm
called
not talking
sexual
about flippancy.
harassment.
I'm not talking about just talking carelessly. I'm just saying that concerning complimenting someone.
Compliment.
Yeah.
Aki,
Okay.
you are saying this because you are more discerning.
General compliments. I'm not
It's
talking
a risk.
about.
It's a risk.
I'll say this.
People-
I'll say this. Do you know that? I don't know if it's happened before, if you've complimented me or Ozo or Easy by saying, oh, I like your hair on this program.
No.
We're all Africans, okay? In one way or the other, we all understand that, listen, you don't mean any harm. But do you know that if there was a white lady, and, I have to say I'm not being racist, that is obviously has been groomed in an extremely different culture.
It's because of the way she was, yes, because of what she's been exposed
If you
to.
say that to, and I'm talking about a member of this panel, we're all cool
Yeah.
with each other. Do you know that she will actually find a place to report you or probably snap back at you to say, I don't like it. I don't like what you're doing. You're actually making me feel uncomfortable. No, seriously.
No,
And you'll be like, what
even
have
as
I done?
familiar as we've been.
I am not talking about
Then
general
it's
issues.
a
You understand?
no. You know what? Okay, I tell you another culture. Oh yeah, I have to say this now. I missed this point. We have a company, a security company, and I know one of the trainings that we give, especially if you're new from Nigeria or even if you've been here for a while, is no matter what you do, especially if you're new, do not take a white lady's smiling ass. She's saying, come get me.
Of course,
Because the
definitely.
culture
We all
here
know that.
is, as you know, white ladies, men, especially the ladies, they see the, and that dry smile is their own way of communicating. In Africa, we see people that we don't know on the road. Auntie, good evening. Good afternoon, ma. Theirs is just and they seize it straight away. Now, if you're new in their society, especially with their men, you would take it that this one don't like
think
me.
It's friendly, or even if you don't think
You
it's
think
like
it's an
me, you might think it's
invitation
just
to
friendly.
treat.
No,
Okay.
you might just think it's even just friendly. It's not friendly.
But
It's
it's
just
not.
polite greeting.
It's just being polite. A white person sees you in the supermarket anywhere. The dry, it comes and I don't know if it's like that in Canada. Well, at least here in the UK.
It's like that. We all know
The
that.
quick and it seizes within a second. The smile is gone. Now, with most African men, especially coming into the culture, they take it as like, maybe at home a girl is winking at you and that means come get me. It doesn't mean come get me.
That's stupidity.
Oh, you're taking it too far.
No, it's true. It does happen.
No, you're right. You're taking it too far. I'm even saying it doesn't even mean that the person is friendly.
Yeah,
so don't even talk to.
They take that quick thing to mean a wink. Back home, a girl wink at you and you're like, that means come get me. And that's when you get into trouble because if it's in a work setting.
He did the guy body. No, no.
He not there in body.
He did the guy body.
He not there in body because most guys are sharp.
Actually, she's not talking to you. She knows that she's saying this for someone who is going to watch this. She's not talking to
you. You understand? Because this program is being watched, isn't it? So, and I believe that some of the people that are going to watch it are people that have just relocated newly, are thinking of relocating, or they're just staying put in whichever country.
Want to try and keep them on the straight and narrow. Okay.
Of course, that's the whole point.
Because Coco has even taken it really far. Because the one that I'm going to bring up later is what my girls have been telling me. Look, you have said to this person, I'm busy. I'm engaged. I don't want to talk. I don't talk to strangers. the same person is coming back to you 10 times. 10, 12, 20. And I'm like, what is going on with these people? So they don't even understand it. So now you're talking about someone flashing a smile. Someone has told you, I don't want to talk. And you are still coming almost 20 more times. Not to talk about when someone has flashed a smile. So
We're
they're going to take that
persistent as a people.
yeah. So now, there's something that now getting angry. You know how we do in Nigeria. Somebody keeps maybe doing something provoking you, and then one day you just feel like I explode, and I let him have it. So that's one thing that's that's an attitude that you cannot come to the office here and feel like this person has been doing this and doing that, and then one day I'm just going to let her have it. I'm just going to get angry, and that is you are finishing yourself. So
No.
I
disagree also, because at my workplace, I have done it before. I still remember her name. I gave her yes, I did this. I gave her a very good telling off. I told her off.
Okay.
And that was an open office. I blew my top in front because it was. I think I tend to this. It's not a no. You're not going to be sacked for it.
Why didn't you go? Because there are processes and procedures. Why didn't you go and make a complaint about that? That's what you're supposed to do. You're not supposed because the person can turn it around and turn it against you.
Good question. It will interest you to know that my former, when I used to work in the Crown Court in London, Inner London, Crown Court, yeah. There was this, I had this new manager who was a nightmare. She was a bully, she was you name it. And just like you said, also, I thought the right thing, okay, do the process, go through the ministry, I got to the highest level. The next stage that I would have had to go to would have been the tribunal, but there was a panel.
So you're saying you did
woman, hold on, I'm answering your question. You asked me a question. And the woman denied from point A to point Z. Now, as a lawyer, I've taken notes. There's no way you would read that 63-page complaint without knowing, because the facts were just daring. Okay. Now I'll tell you what happened, because this is a true story. It's important to hear this. In the end, the number one in HMCS as far as adjudication over such internal cases is concerned actually presided over it. And in the end, I'm not going to say they sided with a woman. That wasn't how it was phrased, but based on she couldn't remember all these things that were so openly done, she went scot-free. I'll just leave it at that. Now, I was so hot. I was so demoralized because, it was gross injustice. And I guess the woman felt bad. She's an Asian woman, but definitely born here, brought up here and all that. So she did know what I was talking about. It was pure racism anyway. So she said to me, would you want to schedule another meeting with me for me to explain to you how I came about my decision? And I was like, of course. Anyway, date of this new meeting, I meet with her because she's really top. So she explained whatever it was she explained, Anyway, end of that meeting, about to go out from, one of those big conference rooms, she allowed her secretary, who was the one taking notes, to leave for, she got up, I got up, then the secretary leaves the office. She's right next to the secretary, to leave the office. Then and that shocked me, she just stopped by the door abruptly, because by that time the secretary had gone through, moved up a bit. Abruptly she stopped, almost like me bumping into her, kind of stopping, because I didn't see her stopping, an Asian lady. And she said to me, off the records, Konyere. I told you they call me Konyere. Well, she said, off the records, Konyere, if anything should ever happen to you in this office from now on, my advice, deal with it there and then. Don't you ever wait to bring it to the panel, because absolutely nothing is going to happen. but that's off the records. Thank you. Have a good day. And she ran off.
No
Now
surprise there.
that is the number one person in the Ministry of Justice in the entire England telling you that. She's
No
an
surprise.
Asian lady, very top, but all she's saying to you is the system is institutionally racist. You're not going to go anywhere with anything.
I understand
Deal
that.
with it.
I
So
understand
now,
that.
do you understand why, from that point onwards, if you should ever make a stupid comment or behave in such an unprofessional way in my presence, I would deal with you straight up there and then. So,
Here is the thing. In the same vein that you're saying that the thing is institutionalized with racism, right? So now let me take it to the purview of, you know, that where there is hierarchy, management, and blah blah blah, whatever. Usually,
Processes
even
and
as I am
procedure.
saying that, even as I'm saying that you should go and complain and follow procedure and process, I do know that for real, and this would happen even in Nigeria or wherever, that when someone is complaining about the subordinate is complaining, usually they're going to be on. It's going to be ruled usually in favor of the other, the person in senior management, unless you have so much evidence that, my goodness, this their defense cannot be substantiated, kind of thing. So I'm just saying, you went through that thing, and then at the end, she was telling you when something comes up, deal with it. But generally, I would want to encourage people to, first of all, try to go through the process, you know, of seeing things investigated. But have at the back of your mind, it's not necessarily going to be in your favor, but at least if someone is doing this and you decide they're going to erupt and deal with it by yourself just like that, you have to have weighed it that this will be the eventuality of your reaction and be ready to take that home and own it and face whatever consequences you get out of it. And the
Or,
last thing
but I also have to say,
or otherwise,
just very quickly, let me just add this. When I talk about dealing with it, I'm not saying I'm the sort of person I always stick to the script. I never leave the script. So when I dealt with that lady on the day that I gave her very good telling off, I wasn't telling her things like you're an idiot, you're short, you're this. That's not my style. I've got no business about the way she looks, whether she's fat, slim, skinny, green head, red head, whatever. I'm sticking to the script of what she did. I'm addressing the issue. So in my opinion, provided you stick to the script also and you're not letting it degenerate into something that
like
is
cursing,
personal.
like being abusive and all of, yeah, you should
No,
not.
no, no. I wasn't happy.
Yeah, of
Stick to the
course. If
script.
you're not abusing,
Don't
no, that
become.
yeah.
Mm,
Yeah, no, that didn't cross my mind.
the
Okay, we're
office
going to say
yeah,
also
something.
thinks, the office also knows that you're human. But what I will
yeah.
advise people is that, as they say in Pidgin Hindi, always if you want to tell somebody of Kamo corner, catch them for corner. Don't do
Mm.
it in the open.
Don't do it. Don't do it where you have witnesses.
Yeah.
No, but I did it, and I was right, and I was waiting for a manager to come to me to say, "Konya, you don't." They all didn't say it because they knew.
That's so funny.
Listen,
Okay, that's
no,
so funny.
they didn't. What they did, she ran off and she started crying. She went into a room, and the lot of them in the office, ran to that whatever tiny room she went to, and were all consoling her. And I was waiting on my desk, waiting for the person that would have the audacity to come and ask me what happened, and no one did. And that's
Let me
all the
just
managers flying to her. But no one came to me because they knew that she was clearly in the wrong.
Yeah.
provocative. Okay, just let me just put that in context. If anybody wants to try that, come on corner, and you want to go and you want to do it
Don't
where there
beat
are no witnesses,
anybody. Don't
just
beat
make sure that
anybody.
it's not someone that can come back come back on you and get you
No,
kicked out
no,
of the
no.
place.
Whatever he says, you
And
just
stick
deny
to
it.
the
Whatever he
script.
says, you
Don't
said,
go abusing the
just deny it.
person.
You just
Don't go abusing the person. Stick to the
No, we're not
script.
even talking about that. We're not talking about
no.
abusing the person.
You didn't get my joke. You didn't get my last joke.
I got it because you
What
know with Nigerians, depending on their background, they're very used to people from a certain
oh
background, and I don't mean to
degenerating to
sound
that.
pushy. they want to degenerate into a hair. Look at you. You think it was the other day
Oh
that
my
this
God.
happened? That's nonsense. Oh yes, it's true.
No.
Okay,
But
what were you
provided
saying?
you are sticking to the script
Yeah,
of whatever it is that that you're trying to address,
you,
you'll be fine.
you stick to the script, but you can
Okay,
make the
what were
person
you?
cry
Okay.
in a corner, in a corner. Nobody will hear. Nobody will hear, but the person will cry. And
This one
Okay.
cried
And they'll
publicly.
what
and
did
they'll
you
even be
say?
too ashamed to go and
I
say it.
said
Eh?
nothing. I
No,
said
but this one cried publicly.
Okay, so the last thing that I think that we should talk about, and then we'll close, is talking about personal things, because you don't know. Just like everybody has said now, that these people are your colleagues, they're not your friends. But you think sometimes, um, I should be friendly, and so that that way you think you're protecting yourself, or maybe you actually being your natural self, you want to be friendly. But you have to limit the things that we talk about, because there are certain things that you will say that somebody will take and take back. This one has also happened to me. And we were talking about something openly, a number of us. It wasn't about work. It was about, yeah, when you see people who behave like this, that. Naturally, you're going to feel this way and that way and that way. And the next thing I knew, I think it was 2 days later, I was called into a meeting. Huh?
Mm-hmm.
I was called into a meeting, and
Mm-hmm.
the person said, you said so, so, so. And I was talking about Black people, and then I talked about Black Americans. And then she said that you were making racist. It's like, what?
Mm-hmm.
She said you were saying you were being racist in what you were saying. And
Mm-hmm.
the funny thing was that this person who had gone to report was agreeing and saying the same things. But I don't know
Mm-hmm.
whether she went and she slept and then she thought about it and said, maybe somebody's going to hear
somebody might
something.
use it.
Yes, and then
Mm-hmm.
she ran. That's why I was saying, don't think that.
Oh, they're
Don't
not your
think you're
friends.
not
Oh.
safe.
Yeah,
You're not
yeah,
safe.
they are
It's
your
not the same. The
colleagues.
relationship is not the same at all. So she ran and went and said that we had a discussion, and Uzo said so, 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 so. So when you are talking about your personal look, no, just it is work.
With
You
people
think
in the
because you're seeing
office,
somebody
you
every
don't
day
need.
for 2 years, you think that you're friends.
No.
No, because
Oh,
because you see, one thing that happens here is where we're coming from. It's just recently that we start to think about psychology and all that. Here, people have been aware of psychology
office
for
politics.
much longer.
Yeah, psychology
Yeah.
of the
And so
office.
they don't make friends as freely and as quickly as we do, because they are considering so many things. Unlike us, who would quickly just, you met this person, you're now tight pals, right? And so when you're thinking that you've met someone and you've been spending 2 years, 3 years together, you are friends. Bobo, you are seeing the person as a friend. They may not be seeing you as a friend. And it's at the end of the day, you have to be discerning, but at the same time, you have to understand that at work, you can do your friendship outside at home. But once you're under that roof, you have to be very careful what you're letting out of your mouth,
Yeah.
even to the
Yeah.
people that you think are your friends, once they're your colleagues, because your job is on the line at any point in time. And
I would I've had I'm sure a lot of us here have had experiences because it's very important in this diaspora lounge for people that don't live abroad, especially intending to come, to understand that under no circumstance, in fact, even if it means you being referred to that unfriendly person at the workplace, you're safer. You see, at home, the lady that one of my very close friends, I met her in the office, and I remember in the office we talked about a lot. Okay, and it's one of those instances of at home, your colleague is your friend. In fact, you want your friends to be your colleagues. Somehow they are really, but abroad it is a never. Rule number one: your colleague is not your friend, because there's some. Okay, I'd driven for as long as I can remember. I started driving when I was probably about 17, and that's quite young. And I drove in Lagos for probably about 9 out of the 10 years that I lived there. So you can imagine that I knew how to drive, and very well too. Coming into this country, relocating, I needed a UK license. So just like you, I had to learn how to drive. At my workplace, this was first few weeks. I would have mentioned it, that I'm doing my, theory. No, not the theory, the practical test. In conversation, tea, whatever. And I thought, okay, at least I didn't go there to talk about my family or anything because I knew the rules. But this is just, oh, you're doing your practice, whatever. And something happened in the office. Believe it or not, I was threatened with that. I remember the manager saying to me, oh, and we do know that you don't have your license yet. And that shocked the hell out of me.
Because you didn't tell anyone.
Because I didn't tell anyone. But it was just that Izzy was saying careless. I tend to disagree with that careless thing. And you're thinking, it's not like I told, in conversation. Now, who would have thought that would be used? Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Against me. Them saying, and we do know, as in they're going to, in a nutshell, we're going to report you to the police or, Now, my next workplace, you know what happened? I was there. I used to keep a very straight face. I'm not even telling you about my driving, not driving, absolutely nothing. I come into the office also. You would think that I was the most unfriendly human being on earth. As in, when I say straight face, I mean straight face. So, true story here. One of those days, a Nigerian lady, walks up to me, my dad, and this is me being in the office for like 6-7 months. One day she came, she said, "Excuse me, I've been wanting to ask you, please don't be upset. Do you live in Slagreen? That's the area where I live in." I was like, "Yes." She said, "Please, do you know so and so person?" And I said, "Yes." She said, "Oh my God, you must be that lady now. I've been to your house before." And I was like, "Have you?" She said, "I'm related to because one of her brother-in-laws came to our house. That was a few years earlier. He stayed with us for about 2 weeks. So that's his sister-in-law that came to stay, that used to visit him there and go." And she said, "In this, what I knew it was your face, but I said, "So you didn't recognize?" She said, "No, I recognized you, but it was your attitude." I said to myself, it's impossible for this person to be that same person that I met several times. And I laughed. I said, "What?" She said, "You don't smile, you don't do, And I started laughing and I said to her, "You know what? It's the circumstances." So what I'm trying to say, imagine someone not recognizing me, but saying to herself, "No, it can't be."
Yeah, it's not the same mien, it's not the same outlook and everything.
And I think that's the last thing I want to say about this to anyone that is listening, that, imagine me. I've done the double personality just to get by at work.
Yeah. What I would even say is that you'll be safer to always exclude yourself from unnecessary conversations.
Unnecessary conversations.
Sometimes those things are deliberate to get information out of you. To
get close to you, yeah.
And then when they get information out of you, they'll put it in their left hand to make sure that they don't eat with it. And then you don't know when they're going to bring it up against you.
Yeah.
They might it might 1 year might go, 2 years might go, and you guys are still working on in the same. But the day they bring it up, just an information that you carelessly just uttered. So the less your conversation that is not work related, better for you.
And to put things in perspective, sometimes it's not really because somebody actually wants to say something against you. It could be that somebody is just saying something is because they got the information from you and they're repeating it. And that information, because it's personal, it's going to impact on you negatively. So I'm just saying this so that we don't look at it like, oh, these people are so evil, they're so wicked. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it is.
No, they're not. It's their culture. The same way ours is.
It's their culture.
And there's another thing that Coco said that reminded me of one time, even sometimes maybe your car could be an issue, because that happened to me actually. Like the wrong person saw my car. At that time I had a nice car, and that became an issue because she felt, she was a supervisor and she asked me to give her a lift, and I gave her a ride. And as she was getting into the car, she was like, "Whose car is this?" And I said, "Mine." What happened was, and she said, "But this is not the car," because I've given her a ride a few times before. She was like, "No, this is not the car that I know." And I said, "Okay, it's a new car." And then she didn't say anything. Usually when you have a new car, a new house or something, somebody is going to say congratulations. She said nothing. And then next thing I knew, she just became unfriendly. And the only thing that could come to my mind was this car, because she asked me several times during that ride, so is this your car really? And when did you get it? What happened to the other car? She asked me all those things in an unfriendly way, and there was never any, oh, congratulations, oh, I like your car, oh, nothing like that. So I knew that that car and
was
that
a
happened to
problem.
someone else. So I've known people who would deliberately park their cars away and not let anybody they're working with know,
Mm.
because
Okay.
we also have this behavior where sometimes we go and carry something that is flashy, right? So those things can create
We
issues.
like to live big.
Yeah, kind of thing. And then maybe your knowledge could be an issue as well, like,
Yeah,
because we
yeah,
have
yeah,
lots of people who are in senior positions who really did not get a degree or anything.
yeah.
So
They
when
just
you
rose through
go,
the ranks. Yeah, they feel
yes,
intimidated.
because they
Yeah,
start working as young as 16, and they start building their resume from there. So sometimes that could be an issue, you know, because sometimes, we do have people who are correcting people on their English when the English is perfect, because we're coming from an English speaking country. But this person just wants to somehow pull you down, and things like that happen at work. So even when you feel like you're knowledgeable about something, you have to release that knowledge. You want it to help where you're working, but you have to be careful the way you're releasing it so that you're not coming across as wanting to show off, because someone can misinterpret it as you showing off. And finally, remember that the bills are really the big daddy here in this society, because anytime that you're missing on anything, there's trouble. So somebody else is maybe maybe they're better off when you're not there in the picture, and those bills are important. So I think that's where we'll close. Oh, the last thing I want to say, animals. Sorry, there's so many things. Okay, this is the last one. So animals, people talking about their animals at work. I went through this one. This is a hard lesson for me. Nobody said anything to me, because there's an animal that I'm allergic to. And these people, several of them had the same animal. And we went out to lunch. It was a lunch, and they were talking about this thing. And not only, and I disliked the animal. And I couldn't, I was like, and I couldn't eat, because I was like, can you stop talking about this? I did say they should stop talking about the animal because I was so irritated. But you know what I did to myself there and then? They take animals as human. Some
yeah,
people, the animal is their child. The animal,
yeah.
they're so close to it, and it's their pet. It means so much to them. But I'm coming from a culture where that's not the way we regard animals. So when you're saying something that's irritating me, in addition to the fact that I am expressive because that's who we are, and I say I can't eat, please stop talking about this. That is rude. That is me being rude. So when people are talking about something that is important to them, you cannot open your expressive mouth and tell them to stop talking about what is
You just
important
walk
to
away.
them.
Just walk away from them. Just step
Yeah,
away.
so we really need to we it's like walking on eggshells, but after a while you get used to things, because I'm never going to make those mistakes again, right? So yeah, it was only later I thought about that. These people must have thought this woman is so rude. Nobody ever said anything to me, but I believe that a conversation may have happened in my absence about that. And
And I have to
so
quickly, let me quickly say, because I know we've run over time here. Another thing, please sound in a note of warning at your workplace, if you're relocating or already here, when they ask you in the office, one person gets up, wants to go and buy something at the cafe, whatever, and she's like, "Do you want anything? Do you want?" And you go, "Yes, please, get me meat pie," or get me, I want Coke, or I want one sandwich. Listen, they mean you're gonna pay for it, because sometimes, like in my office, then whoever it is that's jumped up to go, to whatever, would use their money. And when they come
I
back,
think
they're
everybody
giving it
has
to
heard
you.
this one.
And they're giving
Yeah.
everyone, and yeah, that's £1.50. They expect their £1.50. But in Nigeria, when a colleague gets up to say, does anyone want anything? Also, what do you want? A sandwich?
They're
If you
buying
go,
for
yes,
everybody.
that means I'm
Yeah, for that
footing the
Christmas.
bill. That means I'm giving you, you know, but over here, even if they don't ask you, put their hands up for you
Even
to
if
give
we're
them the
going
money
out
there and then.
for lunch, the office is going out for lunch. Just go with
Yeah,
your wallet.
good. And the office is going out for lunch, Christmas lunch, whatever,
Yes.
before, because our people, you know, we like free things. If they ask you, oh, we're
Coco,
going out for lunch,
oh,
don't go out if you know you don't have any money, because you will be paying for it.
Coco, people who do parties that you buy drinks at. Oh, so what else do you expect?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
They will be doing party. They will say they are doing party, but you are
Uh,
the one that will use your money to buy drinks.
to buy, I don't understand.
It's the
A few of
company
our
that they
people,
want. Yeah. So
Eh?
I say it's the company that they want. It's not I'm not inviting you
yeah, so
because
I
I
don't
want
go.
to do
Where I come from,
yeah.
where I come from. Listen, if you don't have money to
I
do,
didn't
don't
decide the
invite
party.
me.
And
So
then
I never went for any
That's
of
the
those office.
cultural differences.
that's what I'm
Okay,
trying to
so
say. Get used to. So I'm just saying that people who do that's the extreme. You
yeah, it is.
understand?
No, you're talking. It's extreme when I have a birthday and I invite you and I expect you to bring me a birthday gift, and I'm inviting you to because this girl said she went to the most expensive restaurant because she wanted to give herself a treat on her birthday. How can I be going to the most
Mm.
expensive place and I'm inviting you and I'm going to expect you to pay that
To
Hey,
pay.
most expensive thing just because I want to be treated on my birthday?
and you didn't
Yeah,
tell me.
yeah, yeah.
If
That
you tell
happens
me,
a
it's
lot. You know
okay,
what?
but you didn't tell
I
me.
don't do so. Listen, if you're having a party, if you're inviting me, invite me. If you don't have the money to pay for my bill, don't invite me. And if you tell me there's someone, yeah, talking about this restaurant thing, I simply didn't go. And you know, the sad thing, she's Nigerian, not British Nigerian, as in, you know, the normal came at adult
Proper
age.
Naija, Bako.
Marco Niger that came here at some adult age to come and sort her life out. So it's not like you were born here and you've lived here all your life, and I'll say you're more British than Niger. So it's not like you don't know the culture, and you invite me for your birthday, me pay for my no. If you're inviting me for a birthday in a restaurant, please do it in your house where you can afford to buy one kilo of rice and feed everyone. And don't tell me to go to a restaurant. Because here's the thing. I don't want if on a normal day, if I want to go out, would I want to go out with you? The answer is no.
Do you
Do
want to
you
go to
understand
that
what I'm
place?
saying? I wouldn't ordinarily say I want to go out and I'm going out with you. If not, before that, your birthday, there would have been days that I would have called you to say, let's go out. You know, it's different if I say to you, so, oh, let's go out. I've done that before in Nigeria. My friend and I, we went out. We knew we were splitting the bill because
Yeah,
we took each other out, if that makes sense.
yeah.
But imagine if it were her birthday or my birthday, an event, I'm inviting her, I'm expecting her to pay. No.
No.
It's just for our Nigerian people to know that's the culture here. Even if it's a Nigerian person, ask the Nigerian person.
Oh
Am I
yeah.
paying? Am I paying?
Yeah.
Okay, you
Oh,
do ask that question,
I've
don't
heard of
you?
somewhere they even expected
No,
them
I don't ask.
to pay for the children for their child who came to a party, and the woman was like, "Are you kidding me?" So, all right. So I think with that we've done quite a bit on this workplace culture and getting into trouble. I am sure that people will pick one or two things from the discussion that we've had today and share from our personal experiences. Thank you for staying with us. Remember to subscribe to our channel if you haven't, and like and share our videos. Enjoy the rest of your weekend and see you next time. Bye bye.
Bye.